Yes. Good day, my gentle people. I look vibrant. I look healthy. I look like everything's happening in this corner. I'm alive and well. I give God thanks. But I'm telling you, I've been suffering from the hay fever symptom. So what I've gone and done, I've researched it. I've done a bit of research because sometimes you're going through a situation and you want to understand what's happening. So from different perspectives, I've drawn on different sources today, so I'm going to share what I found with my gentle people. Now, like I said, the first thing that I establish, and by the way, because I know that historical information may contain elements of bias, I like to draw on whatever source I find my information from. I like to make it known. So, according to Dr. Govin Dissau, he said hay fever is a common allergy for the UK, affecting a large percent of individuals, particularly adults. Now, hay fever, it's a it's a disorder caused by allergy. And what are allergy? It's basically substance which are called allergens, such as pollen, dust, and pets here like cats and dogs. I'm not I don't keep animals, so I don't have to worry about that aspect of it. But the dust, you have to, and I mean, you can't get rid of dust from indoors, but I have to be cleaning. I mean, today is my day off from work and I'm supposed to be relaxing, and I'm just cleaning to sort of keep the dust down. But you can't keep the dust down, it's very difficult. Anyway, like I said, in order to establish what exactly are the symptoms, I like to draw from different sources. So, my first protocol was to establish what is hay fever. And like I said, it's a disorder caused by allergy, simply pollen, dust, and such the like. Now, my particular symptoms include sneezing, runny nose, itchy eyes. Sometimes I rub my eyes until it's swollen, itchy throat, watery eyes, scratchy ears, frequent headaches, and sometimes you get like a nasal congestion. And you can feel fatigue as well, sleep disorder, breathing, and it's just not a good it's not a good symptom to have. And besides making you miserable, hay fever can affect your performance, your daily performance. If you work, it can affect your job. It's just generally interferes with your life. And what I've discovered today, that there are seasonal factors. Now, the tree that you see outside, which especially in early spring, the pollen is very high. Grass pollen is very common in late spring and summer, which, like, now I'm indoors. If I'm venturing outside, I need a mask to cover my nose and a big, like, glasses to put over my eyes and stuff like that. Now, dust mites, insects, pet ears, and stuff like that can be bothersome all year round. So I thought hay fever was just from the pollen, but no, it can be perennial all year round from animal ear, um, insect, and whatever such the like. I'm looking at my papers. You see, I've made a note. Now, how do we distinguish hay fever different from a common cold? How do you tell when it's just hay fever? Now, if your nose is runny and it's like watery with a thin watery discharge, then you know that's just hay fever. But to detect a common cold, it's runny with thick yellow discharge and your body aches, and it often come with a low grade fever. um and the symptoms of hay fever, its duration is as long as you're exposed to allergens. So as long as there's dust, animal ears, and stuff like that, then you're gonna experience hay fever. Now, I'm gonna just take a brief look at what the NHS have to say about hay fever. Now, they said hay fever is usually worse between late March and September, especially when it's warm, humid, and windy. This is when the pollen count is at its highest. Yeah? Now, I'm just momentarily going back and forth. Sneezing and coughing, like I said, runny nose or blocked nose, itchy red, watery eyes. Sometimes I rub my eyes until it's really red and itchy. Itchy throat, loss of smell, pain around your temples and your forehead. Okay, I didn't realize that. Headache, earache, feeling extremely tired. Have a tight feeling in your chest, short of breath. This is a terrible thing to have. Wheeze and cough. And hay fever will last for weeks or months, unlike a cold which usually goes away after 1 to 2 weeks. Now, there's currently no cure for hay fever and you cannot prevent it, but you can do things to ease the symptoms when the pollen count is very high. Now, the NHS had advised us to, let me show you. He said put Vaseline around your nostril to trap the pollen. Wear wraparound sunglasses to stop pollen getting into your eyes. Shower and change your clothes after you've been outside to wash pollen off. Stay indoors whenever possible, which is what I've been doing. Keep windows and doors shut as much as possible. Vacuum regularly and dust with a damp cloth. Buy a pollen filter for the air vents in your car. Well, I don't drive at the moment, so that doesn't apply. Try to stay at home and avoid contact with other people if you have a high temperature or you do not feel well enough to do your normal activities. And these are the don'ts. It's saying do not cut grass or walk on grass. Do not spend too much time outside. Do not keep fresh flowers in the house. Do not smoke or be around smoke. It makes your symptoms worse. Okay. Do not dry clothes outside. They can catch pollen. Do not let pets into the house if possible. They can carry pollen in. Now, obviously, this is no normal thing that people have to be undergoing. I want you to find out where hay fever was originated from. So I was looking at a video earlier, so I'm just gonna draw your attention to it. So all you hay fever sufferers, I don't want that page. All you hay fever sufferers, I just want you to take a look, because everybody, like different sources is different information. Hold on, let me have a look at this one. I want to make sure that these devices, them slow, you see. Yes, so this hay fever is no joke. It's a disease. It is a disease. Oh, there that is. Hay fever documentary. I just want to find the page. Bear with me. I want to go into that documentary. But while that is loading, I'm gonna tell you a bit more about the complications of hay fever. Now, the problems that can be associated with hay fever include, hold on, I don't want that page. Oh, all right, let me just show you quickly this before I go on. As you see the man there in the background, he's sneezing. Yeah. Oh dear. That's a pollen.
The English summer fills our landscape with lovely flowers, but it comes at a price. Hay fever. For those of us who suffer from it, and I most certainly do, our eyes swell, nose runs, and we get overcome with fits of uncontrollable sneezing. The source of our affliction is filling the air all around me. Pollen grains. No bigger than specks of dust, They're astonishingly varied and complex in shape. Each species of plant has its own characteristic pattern. They're shed in millions from stamens that tumble out of the grass's tiny flowers. As the grains are released, so the wind carries them away. It's these tiny particles, when they get up our nostrils, that give so many of us such a bad time. But their proper destination, of course, is not the human nose. It's structures like these, the stigmas of other grass flowers. When a pollen grain carried by the wind happens to land on one of these feathery traps, a grass plant is fertilized and can then produce seeds which will grow into other grass plants. You might think that such a method of distributing pollen would be extremely wasteful and inefficient. But the fact remains that grasses are extraordinarily successful. They've spread to every continent on Earth, and some of them have grown very big indeed.
Now that was just a brief little insight into the pollens and how vastly it spread around the globe, and how as hay fever sufferers we cannot escape interaction with these pollens. Now I wanted to find out about the origins of the pollen and where exactly they originated from. So I'm gonna go back into this. I mean, different sources tell you different things, but this is I was researching this and I found, oops, hold on a second, I found this out. Oh, my device is messing about. I tell you, I need a technician. I need a technician. Anyway, I want you to have a look at this one here, because that's very interesting. If you're a hay fever sufferer, you should be listening carefully. Right, try again. All right, have a look.
The summer in England sees a great migration from town to country. People go to get away from city life to the grassy fields and shady lanes. Many enjoy themselves in cottages, others in caravans. Some prefer the river, and others like helping on the farm, while there are always those content with the roadside. Although most people enjoy themselves, there are some like this girl who are not so happy. They suffer from what is commonly known as hay fever. Their eyes irritate, their noses run, and they sneeze. While about half the patients wheeze and cough as well. Hay fever is not a good term to describe these symptoms, as there is no fever and hay does not cause it. It is possible to be allergic or sensitive to many substances, but the common cause of seasonal hay fever in Great Britain is grass pollen. Symptoms start...
Right, so the common cause for hay fever is grass pollen, as the man rightly identified. Now, just to give you an overview, or before I do that, before I give it, it's what that documentary is actually saying, that hay fever was originated at St. Mary's Hospital in 1953. That's long before I was born, approximately 12 years before I was born. So like I said, as a hay fever sufferer, you have swollen eyes, really swollen and can be very red, runny nose, itchy nose. You get overcome by fits of uncontrollable sneezing, constant sneezing. Achoo! Achoo! You just keep sneezing, sneezing, sneezing. And I mean, the source of my affliction is pollen grains. You understand? You seen the earlier video where the gentleman was showing the pollen. You saw it look dangerous. So what I need to address now, I need to look at symptoms, and I need to look at what is good for it. So let me see what is the overview. Now, hay fever causes cold-like symptoms such as all the symptoms I described earlier. And me particularly, my allergic response is when I go outdoors and get connected with the dust and the pollen and the mites. All right. So complications that may be associated with the hay fever include a reduced quality of life because you have to lock yourself indoors away from all the pollen. It can interfere with your engagement and activities and cause you to feel less productive, and can even lead to general feeling of being unwell. A prolonged sinus congestion due to hay fever may increase your susceptibility to sinusitis. This is an infection or inflammation of the membrane that lines the sinuses. So it's not no easy. It's not an easy. I would call it a disease. So the prevention for hay fever basically is to lessen your exposure to the allergens that cause your symptoms. So avoid dust, stay away from dust. Avoid any animals with the sort of the animal air, because that can contribute to symptoms that affect you as a person who suffer with hay fever. All right, so I hope the information is useful today. If I find anything else out, I will happily share it with you. So have a blessed day. Keep subscribing, keep watching. It's always a pleasure. Take care. Bye for now. Okay.